At the start of the movie, we meet Lauren Lane, a former child star who first rose to fame as Sally Johnson in the hit live sitcom Meet the Johnsons. Now grown, she's an award-winning actress with an Emmy to her name and a secure place in Hollywood. Life seems to be going perfectly until the news shatters her world. A breaking report reveals that hackers have leaked Lauren's private videos and photos online. Among them is one shocking image, a positive pregnancy test. Almost instantly, rumors explode and fans begin speculating about who the father might be. Her assistant, Grace, urges her to take a step back until the scandal cools down. She even books a remote Airbnb for Lauren and offers to go with her, but Lauren refuses. She just wants to be alone. An hour later, she packs her bags, takes her dog Georgie, and slips out through the back gate, while reporters and fans crowd the front. On the road, her PR agent Andrea calls, demanding to know if the pregnancy rumor is true. Lauren avoids giving an answer, but Andrea insists that if it is, they could claim the test belonged to Grace. Lauren dismisses the idea. Andrea continues pressing, worried that the scandal could derail the filming of the 11th season of Meet the Johnsons, and reminds her of the expectations from fans. Exhausted, Lauren ends the call. Later, she pulls over to let Georgie out when her mother, Beth, calls. The conversation quickly turns bitter. Beth admits she feels too embarrassed to face her friends because of the rumors. Lauren, angry and hurt, reminds her mother that she has been financially supporting her since childhood, and accuses her of caring more about appearances than about her. When Beth asks who the father is, Lauren responds coldly, leaving the air heavy with unspoken tension. Hours later, Lauren finally arrives at the Airbnb on the Pacific Coast Highway. She punches in the code and steps inside, wine glass in hand, exploring the quiet cabin. But what she doesn't know is that Marcus, the Airbnb manager, is secretly watching her through hidden cameras. The moment he realizes a celebrity is staying there, his pulse quickens. He can't believe it. That evening, Lauren settles outside with her dog Georgie, breathing in the fresh coastal air, thinking she's found some peace. As night falls, Lauren's curiosity gets the better of her. She searches her name online, and the very first result staring back at her is the leaked pregnancy test. The sight sends her spiraling into painful memories. Her mind drifts back to an old episode of Meet the Johnsons, where she had been introduced on stage as America's daughter, while her co-star Peter was praised as America's dad. But behind the cameras, the truth was far darker. Offstage, Peter had used his influence to manipulate her trust, grooming her and ultimately exploiting her innocence. Meanwhile, across town, Marcus deals with his own troubles. His uncle Darren lashes out at a friend named Merg for wasting money on more drugs, warning that the dealer is now demanding payment. Darren then turns to Marcus, asking if any wealthy guests are currently staying at the cabin. Marcus, nervous and defensive, insists that no one is there and reminds Darren that the cabin is strictly off-limits. Darren refuses to back down. He reminds Marcus that he lives under his roof and threatens to expose Marcus's past drug abuse to his employer. But Marcus pushes back, pointing out that he is the one with a steady job, the one keeping the lights on in the house. Darren falls silent. Back at the cabin, Lauren receives an unexpected call from Peter. He wastes no time on pleasantries, demanding to know where she is. Lauren responds vaguely, saying only that she is at a cabin, trying to clear her mind. Peter's response is cold. He advises her to take a pill or let him discreetly arrange an abortion, warning her that both their careers are at risk. Horrified by his lack of compassion, Lauren cuts the call short. Enraged, Peter vents to his bodyguard, Croft. He insists that he was the one who made Lauren's career and fortune possible, and now he fears what will happen if his wife and children discover the truth about his affair with her. Croft, calm and calculating, suggests a chilling solution. They could make Lauren's death look like a drug overdose. The idea stirs Peter, and without hesitation, he agrees. Back at the cabin, Marcus checks the cameras one last time. Lauren, after using the bathroom, slips back into bed, exhausted. Soon, Marcus drifts off to sleep, but danger is already on its way. Darren sneaks into the living room, spots Marcus's phone, and discovers that someone is, in fact, staying at the cabin. He quickly informs her, and together they form a plan. Tonight, they will rob the place. An hour later, Marcus jolts awake to find his phone missing, and so are his roommates. Darren and Merg step inside. Darren's eyes immediately fall on Lauren's Cartier watch. Merg's mind drifts darker, suggesting they could do more than just steal. Darren shuts him down quickly, warning that if she saw them, she could easily identify them later. Suddenly, Marcus bursts in, furious. He confronts them, revealing that Lauren is a celebrity, and their reckless actions could cost him his job. From inside the boiler room, Lauren begs to be released, insisting she won't say a word. But Merg doesn't care. He moves for the door, only to be held back as Marcus and Darren restrain him. In the chaos, Merg's gun fires, hitting Marcus. Staggering and wounded, Marcus pleads with Darren to take him to the hospital, but Merg intervenes, reminding them that both he and Darren carry criminal records. Going to the hospital would mean prison. Before Marcus can react, Darren silences him for good, killing his own nephew in cold blood. Enraged and spiraling, Darren sets his sights on Lauren, but the door handle breaks off in his hand, thwarting his plan. Frustrated, Merg suggests grabbing cleaning supplies, convinced that Lauren has no way to escape. The two leave her trapped. Inside the boiler room, Lauren tries the door again, but this time the handle comes loose in her grip. Through the hole, she sees Marcus's lifeless body sprawled on the floor. Shock and terror consume her. She pounds on the door, screaming for help, until exhaustion eventually drags her into uneasy sleep. When morning comes, Lauren wakes to the thin light of day. She flicks on the bulb, scanning the dim, suffocating space around her. Her voice trembles as she whispers an apology to the life growing inside her. The unborn child now caught in a nightmare. Moments later, Lauren begins tapping along the walls, desperate to find an escape. The hollow sound beneath her fingers draws her attention to a section of wallpaper. Carefully peeling it back, she discovers brick hidden underneath. When she tries to turn the bulb on again, a sudden short circuit sends a jolt of electricity through her, leaving her reeling. Over the next few hours, she continues working at the walls, but exhaustion and thirst begin to take their toll. Then, she hears the familiar sound of the keypad. The intruders have returned. Thinking quickly, Lauren tries to reason with them. She explains that Darren's death is not entirely their fault and proposes a plan to make it look like an accident. She offers a story. Marcus, a fan obsessed with her, had discovered she was staying alone in the cabin, broke in, and accidentally shot himself while trying to open the very door she is now hiding behind. But Darren and Merg remain unconvinced. Merg lifts his gun toward the door, and Darren quickly steps in to stop him. The gun goes off, Darren is wounded, and Merg ends up killing himself in the process. The chaos outside rattles Lauren, and in a moment of raw fear, she admits that she is pregnant. Yet Darren leaves her behind, making his way to the hospital, abandoning her to the nightmare inside the cabin. Hours pass, and Lauren wakes to find a rat biting her flesh. She attempts to turn the bulb on again, only to be electrocuted once more. Meanwhile, far away at the hospital, officers Jameson and Connell arrive. They learn from the doctor that Darren had a criminal past, spending 5 years in jail for a drug deal gone wrong. The doctor also mentions that Darren had spoken of a pregnant woman trapped somewhere before being admitted. Back in the cabin, Lauren fights to survive. She attempts to catch water droplets from a leaky pipe, but it is barely enough to quench her thirst. Driven by desperation, she grabs a metal pipe, strikes a rat dead, and then uses the same pipe to start breaking through the walls, searching for any way out of the nightmare. The next morning, an injured Georgie wanders along the roadside, limping and exhausted, until he is spotted by Loretta, a devoted dog rescuer. She notices his name and a phone number etched onto his collar and quickly takes him with her, determined to keep him safe. Meanwhile, back at the cabin, Lauren discovers a rat's nest hidden within the walls. As she untangles it, her fingers brush against something solid, a hammer. Just as hope flickers, a pipe bursts, sending water flooding the room. She tries to break through the wall, but the hammer proves useless against the soaked, solid surface. At the veterinary hospital, Loretta explains to the doctor that she tried calling the number on Georgie's collar, but received no answer. The doctor decides to keep Georgie overnight for further tests. Hoping to reach the owner, Loretta posts a photo of him on social media. Elsewhere, police officers arrive at Darren's apartment. The building manager explains that 3 people live there: an uncle, a nephew, and a roommate. Officer Jameson inquires if any of them have jobs, learning that the nephew works at an Airbnb along the Pacific Coast Highway. As they investigate, Officer Connell spots a blood-splattered t-shirt tucked inside a room. They decide to send it for analysis, a grim clue to the chaos that has unfolded. At a local grocery store, Loretta's phone keeps buzzing. She steps aside to check it, only to find her Instagram flooded with likes and comments. It dawns on her that she now has Lauren's dog. Before she can process this, an unknown call comes through. Answering cautiously, she hears Croft on the line, claiming to be a private detective hired to find a missing dog belonging to a client. Suspicious of his motives, Loretta ends the call, but Croft has already tracked her location, and the danger is closer than she realizes. At the hospital, Darren wakes up chained to a bed, injured and disoriented. Soon, the police arrive, questioning him about Marcus and his whereabouts at work. Darren claims he doesn't know where Marcus is, and says he recently started working at an Airbnb. When asked about his gunshot wound, he insists it was an accident. While trying to open a lock, the officers remain skeptical. They point out that no shell casings were found in his apartment, and mention a bloodstained shirt that has been sent to the lab. Still, they leave, unsure how to locate the Airbnb among so many along the coast. Back at the cabin, the boiler room is half submerged in water. Lauren takes the hammer she found earlier and begins loosening the screws on the door, determined to escape. Meanwhile, Croft arrives at the veterinary hospital, asking about Georgie and where he might have been picked up. The doctor explains that he doesn't know, since Loretta often brings in strays from all over. Croft hands him money and a card, asking him to call when she returns. Later, the doctor contacts Loretta, explaining that a well-dressed man paid him to notify him when she came for Georgie. Suspicious but cautious, she agrees to pick up the dog. When she arrives, Georgie is safe in her arms, unaware that Croft is following her closely. Meanwhile, Darren seizes an opportunity at the hospital. He tricks a doctor into taking him to the bathroom, overpowers him, and escapes, slipping out of the hospital and back into freedom. That afternoon, Loretta drives with Georgie, who suddenly starts howling loudly. Thinking he needs to relieve himself, she pulls over, but Georgie bolts and races toward the cabin. She chases after him, knocking on the door as Georgie barks frantically. Lauren hears him inside. Just then, Darren appears and grabs Loretta, but Croft arrives in time, firing at Darren. Meanwhile, the police receive a possible location for the Airbnb, where Marcus worked as manager, and they head toward it. Back at the cabin, Croft and Loretta step inside. When Loretta asks who he is, he simply says he is security. They move into the living room and are met with a horrifying sight, dead bodies scattered across the floor. Suddenly, a loud noise comes from the boiler room. Croft calls Peter, reporting that the problem has resolved itself. Croft lunges at Loretta, intent on killing her, but Lauren finally breaks through the glass screw of the door. Loretta quickly reveals she was the one who found Georgie. Heart pounding, Lauren rushes upstairs as Croft recovers, knocking Loretta to the floor and chasing after her, determined to finish the job. With a swift, desperate swing, Lauren strikes Croft with a metal pipe, sending him crashing to the ground. His phone buzzes, and she snatches it, hearing Peter's cold voice asking if the task is done. Croft staggers to his feet, trying to choke her, but Lauren fights back with everything she has, finally killing him. The police arrive moments later and handcuff Lauren, but as she turns, the officers suddenly recognize her. It's Lauren Lane, the famous celebrity. Soon, fans and media swarm the cabin, while Loretta is safely rescued. When the police approach Lauren for questioning, she simply asks for her phone. The officers hesitate, until Loretta steps in, reminding them that she's Sally Johnson and legally deserves a call. Reluctantly, the officers, who happen to be fans of Lauren themselves, hand it over. Without wasting a second, Lauren posts her pregnancy test on social media, reclaiming her voice. In the end, Peter is exposed and arrested for attempting to murder her. And that's how this story ends. Lauren went through